Good morning everyone, welcome to The Point. In this video we will understand a type of taxation known as capital gain tax. So first we'll go through the definition as to what capital gain tax is. Profit or income arising out of sale of capital assets is a capital gain. So whenever you sell capital assets, the income or the profit which you make by selling a capital asset is called capital gain. The income earned by selling the capital asset is a taxable income, and the tax that is levied on that is called capital gain tax. So my friends, there are certain assets which is classified as capital assets. We will study in the next slide as to what capital assets are. As for now, you can just understand whenever we sell these assets. Let's suppose if you have bought one machinery for ₹1000 and now you are selling it for 1200, so you have made a profit of 200. Now this profit attracts tax on it, and this taxation which is levied on the profit of 200 is called capital gain tax, because you have gained on selling some capital assets, so it is called a capital gain. Capital gains are not applicable to inherited property, as there is no sale, only transfer of ownership. So let's suppose your father or your mother or your grandfather has transferred some property or a piece of land that they were holding to your name. So that is what you have, that property you have inherited. You have not purchased it from the market. It is something which you have got in the will or by inheritance. So that is not that is not a sale of property, so, or there is no transfer of ownership. It belongs to your father, now it belongs to you. So there is no transfer of ownership, it is the inheritance of the property. So this transaction does not involve any buying or selling, hence no sense that there is capital gain arising out of it. The Income Tax Act has specifically exempted assets received as a gift by way of inheritance or will. So let's suppose if my mother gives me a property or something or some capital asset, so that is a gift that I have received, and there is no sale or purchase involved in it, so that does not involve any capital gain tax. However, if the person who inherited the asset decides to sell it, so capital gain tax will be applicable. So let's suppose my mother has gifted me a piece of land worth ₹1 lakh, and now after it is on my name, now I have decided that I will sell it in the market for 5 lakhs, and I've got this price for my property. How much gain did it accrue on selling this property? It is 4 lakhs. So now this 4 lakh will definitely attract this capital gain tax. I hope it is clear to you by now as to when this capital gain tax arises. So now coming to the definition, what is this capital asset which we are talking about since the beginning of the video? A capital asset is a property that is expected to generate value over a long period of time. Capital assets form the productive base for an organization or an individual. So anything or any asset which generates value for you. For an example, if I get a machinery or a car for myself, so it is generating value. How? This car now helps me traveling from my office to my home or to any other place. Or let's suppose if I have got a land, now I can put a factory or start a business over it. So now that piece of land is helping me generate value over a long period of time. Or even if I don't start a business on this piece of land, the value of the property will certainly appreciate, and then I can sell it and make profit from it. So such is the definition of capital assets. Capital asset has certain characteristics which are as follows. It has an expected useful life for more than 1 year. So if I assume if I've got a car, Its expected life is somewhere around 7 to 8 years, and if I've got a land, then it will be with me until unless I sell it. So it has certain useful life, and it is not something which is perishable. Let's suppose if I've got what do we say, anything consumable, so it will be consumed in certain days, and that will not be considered as an asset for us. So a capital asset has certainly some useful life, which is usually more than 1 year. It is not expected to be sold as normal part of business operation, as would be the case for inventory. Let's suppose I have a sugarcane processing factory wherein I produce sugar. So what I will not keep on selling my machinery or my factory or the other fixed furniture which I have installed there. It could be laptop, or could be the machinery used to crush sugarcane. So all of it is my capital asset, and I don't sell it or I don't trade it in my usual course of business. Only when I shut down my business or it goes into liquidation, then is when those capital assets are being sold. Unlike the inventory, which we sell it every day or whenever it is required to earn profits over it. Let's suppose if it is the sugar cane factory, what I'll keep on selling is the sugar packets which I am producing. So that forms the inventory, and that I will sell. I'll be selling. Rest all the things, my factory, the machinery installed and other instruments, I am not gonna sell it. It tends not to be easily convertible into cash. Yes, it takes time. If I compare between a sugar packet and a machinery that is installed to convert sugarcane into sugar, so which is more readily convertible into cash? This anyone can come and I can easily find a buyer for this sugar packet, rather than getting a buyer for my machinery that helps me converting sugarcane into sugar. So capital assets are not readily convertible into cash, as in the case of the land also. If you must have heard that it is not easy to sell a piece of land. There's a lot of many formalities, and it takes time to find a suitable buyer with whom you can negotiate. So these are certain characteristics of a capital asset. Going on to the next slide. So there are certain examples like computer, machinery, vehicles, buildings, as I've told, that I've installed. I gave you an example of establishing a sugarcane factory. So where I had my laptop and I installed machinery, vehicles for transporting the material and the building itself. Workers, paper, raw material which I'm using in the factory forms part of the inventory, and it is not constituted as the capital asset. Moving on to the next slide, types of capital gain tax. So basically there is bifurcation of this capital gain tax, which is short-term capital gain tax and long-term capital gain tax. We'll look into it as to what it is. Any asset that is held for less than 36 months is termed as a short-term asset. In case of immovable property, the duration is 24 months. So if you are holding any asset for less than 36 months, it is known as short-term asset, and if it is more than 36 months, it is a long-term asset. So first I'll make it easier for you. So there is capital asset. So now capital asset could be short term and long term. Fine. So a capital asset which is held for less than 36 months is a short term capital asset, and buying and selling of that will attract short term capital gain tax. And if it is a capital asset which is a long term capital asset, when you sell this kind of capital asset which is held for a long time, so you will attract long term capital gain tax. And what is this long term capital asset? Any asset that is held for over 36 months is termed as long term asset. Profit generated through sale of such an asset would be treated as long term gain and would attract tax accordingly. So there is different tax slab for these two types of capital gains. For short term, it keeps on changing, it is not static, but yes, the rates are different when you attract taxes in the case of selling a long term capital asset and in case of short term capital asset. So I hope it is clear to you as to what capital gain taxes are. So to understand it more properly, you need to have a very clear picture about what capital assets are and what forms the capital assets and what are not included in capital assets. And then whenever you, and the definition is like very simple, whenever you deal with capital assets, if you make income out of it, so you have to pay tax on it, and that tax is called capital gain tax. So the crux is you have to be really clear with the definition of what constitutes capital asset for you. So this is all for the today's video. Thank you so much.